always say, every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you.
Illicit financial flows are funds that may have been illegally sourced, illegally moved, or used for illegal purposes. In fact, illicit financial flows remain one of the biggest albatross hanging on the wings of Africa and an obstacle to the continent's development. Although the expression illicit flows became more popular about 14 years ago when the world was hit by the global economic meltdown in 2008, it is important to note that the phenomenon is not new to the African continent. In fact, illicit financial flows witnessed a significant upsurge in the 2000s as a result of increasing trade activities from Africa. Welcome to Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Murna Barnabas Atiahi. We shall beam our searchlight on the effort ICPC is making at curbing these illicit financial flows in the preceding year. First, Ruth is standing by with updates on happenings around the world of the Commission. Over to you, Ruth.
I am Ruth Awodi with Anti-Corruption Stories. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the interim forfeiture of 110.4 million naira traced to the bank accounts of one Mr. James Ereboye and 7 other suspects by ICPC for allegedly being proceeds of crime. In an ex parte motion filed by Rahim Adeshino on behalf of ICPC before Justice D. Okorowa, the Commission further prayed for an order of interim forfeiture of a Toyota Lexus Jeep and a Toyota Venza car, including an iPad device. The properties were seized by the Commission from Mr. Ereboye and his accomplices, who were alleged to have benefited from over 500 million naira illicit fund stashed in the account of a primary school teacher, Mrs. Roslyn Uche Egwa. ICPC found that over 110 million naira was surreptitiously moved sometime in 2020 from the bank account of the primary school teacher, who was being investigated for money laundering and other fraud, into different accounts owned by Ereboye and 8 other persons, including 2 companies. The money to be forfeited includes 17.4 million naira that was transferred to the bank account of Ereboye, 14.2 million naira to an account owned by one Ojo Alonge, 16.4 million naira to a company called DY Bako and Sons Limited, and 30.8 million naira to another company known as Darrison Construction Limited. The order for interim forfeiture also covers the sums of 7.1 million naira traced to an account owned by Owoyemi Mayowa, 8.2 million naira and 6.5 million naira traced to the bank accounts of Emon Aje Okune and Maureen Chidima, respectively. Recall that Mrs. Egwa, who teaches at Ozola Primary School, Abagana, Anambra State, was arrested in June 2020 by the Commission for allegedly laundering 550 million naira. other development, a total of 246 officers newly recruited by ICPC have graduated from the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps NSCDC Training Academy after a rigorous 6 weeks course. The chairman of ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasonye, SAN, who was the reviewing officer at the passing out parade POP of the new officers, which held at the NSCDC Training Academy in Soka, Abuja, said that the coming on board of the new staff would bridge the human capacity gap being faced by the Commission.
You should consider yourselves lucky to have been selected by the Commission, having scaled through the various stages of screening of about 400,000 applicants that applied for the job. The result of this painstaking process resulted in the recruitment that produced about 246 officers that are present here today. You are being taken through a process to ensure that you have the requisite physical and mental capacity to add value to the Commission's effort and mandate to eradicate corruption in Nigeria. As you are probably aware, some of those who started this training with you about 6 weeks ago were decamped in the interest of their own health and safety. In the same vein, a few more of you may be required to undertake further screening in accordance with government guidelines to ensure mental and psychosocial fitness for the rigors of employment in law enforcement. This is to further ensure the safety and security of yourselves, your colleagues, the Commission, and the society at large. It is important for you to know that your conduct will determine the trajectory of your career in the Commission. You are privileged to belong to an agency that has tremendous goodwill, and government expects much from us, as corruption is a major root cause of Nigeria's developmental challenges. Therefore, let me emphasize that your conduct must be above board, not just because the Code of Ethics of ICPC demands it, but also because the Code of Conduct for Public Officers in the Constitution requires the same and much more. But also, in order to develop your full potential and to succeed in attaining leadership positions within the Commission and in society at large, integrity and discipline are essential character traits that you must sustain throughout your career. You are therefore strongly advised to make integrity your watchword, as well as ensure that you remain focused and disciplined at all times.
The chairman also informed them that as the country was battling with the menace of corruption posed by illicit financial flows, internet fraud, and grand corruption, amongst others, they were expected to shun all acts of corruption, warning that defiant staff will be shown the way out of the Commission.
I wish to inform you that you are joining the service of ICPC at a time when the fight against corruption is being confronted by other challenges such as illicit financial flows, grand corruption, internet fraud, cybercrime, just to mention a few, which continue to give the country a bad image, but also equally threatens our corporate existence as a nation and discourages foreign direct investment. We reminded also that the current insecurity challenges that the nation is confronted with today is a consequence of pervasive corruption, years of pervasive corruption, which has become systemic and endemic over the decades. As officers of ICPC, you have the Herculean task of ridding Nigeria of this miasma of corruption, and it behoves you to contribute your quota to government's determination to change the narrative. Gentlemen officers, please be informed that the ICPC under my watch and this current board of the Commission has zero tolerance for corruption, for indiscipline, on professional conduct. As officers of the Commission, you will be expected to uphold integrity in all your engagements and at all times. You have to strive always to live above board in the discharge of your official duties and with an utmost sense of professionalism. As anyone found wanting will be shown the way out. Be equally reminded that any act of disloyalty to the system will neither be condoned nor tolerated, and defaulters will be sanctioned effectively and accordingly.
On his part, the Commandant General of NSCDC, Dr. Ahmed Audi, said the new staff had been rigorously trained and equipped to function as anti-corruption officers. Audi, who was represented at the POP by Deputy Commandant Nnamdi Nweyi, added that the training had churned out well-cultured, disciplined and loyal staff for ICPC.
The essence of this training is to provide for the service of ICPC well-cultured, disciplined and loyal officers. As the ICPC chairman has just reiterated on the expectations that the hopes of these young men that are being passed out today, because all of them are men, as far as we're concerned. I believe that a breath of fresh air will come into ICPC by the release of these graduates. Having stayed with us, having seen the culture of a paramilitary organization, having its bent to learn to abide by the rules and regulations that guide a paramilitary organization over this time, I believe the ICPC will be proud to have men that have been trained fully to face the task before them.
The camp commandant, Mr. Wellington Nkemadu, speaking to the ICPC media crew after the event, gave the assurance that the new staff would perform any task assigned to them, having undergone 6 weeks rigorous military and technical training.
When people come in, they come in raw. So all we do is to refine, and today we have succeeded in refining, and we have showcased what we have done over this period. We have been able to bring up people who have been found worthy today, both in character and in learning, and that is what I have succeeded in doing. And I'm sure everybody who witnessed the parade must be happy, and like the chairman commended our effort. So it's heartwarming when such commendations come.
The course senior Akanmode Olayemi, who spoke after the parade, said the training had toughened her to cope with the rigors of anti-corruption work, while also admitting that they had been adequately prepared as integrity officers who would not condone any act of corruption.
Now I know that ICPC is a commission that really values integrity to the word, because all the trainings, all the lectures, all our facilitators always bring that on board, that you can't survive in ICPC without integrity. You can't survive in ICPC without teamwork. You can't survive in ICPC when you're dishonest, when you're disrespectful, because a lot of us come from different homes where we've been spoiled. We talk to people anyhow. Now you have to respect grade level, which is very important.
The event, which witnessed excellent displays such as a parade of the graduating officers in slow and quick march, unarmed combat and other non-regular military drills, also featured the presentation of awards to 4 outstanding officers. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Murna. Stay with us.
just tuning in, this is Corruption Must Go, and our focus is on ICPC's effort at curbing illicit financial flows. The Thabo Mbeki High-Level Panel report on illicit financial flows from Africa estimates that Africa is losing in excess of $50 billion a year to illicit flows. Nigeria is said to be responsible for a huge percentage of this loss. In its quest, therefore, to find a lasting solution to this phenomenon that is retarding the developmental process of the country in particular and the continent in general, ICPC carried out a series of activities in the year 2021. Some of the activities include physical and virtual meetings to review a report of the illicit financial flow in the oil and gas sector and another report on illicit financial flows in relation to tax. Participants were major players in the oil and gas sector and key players in the tax sector, including Chairman of Board of Internal Revenue Service of the 36 states and FCT and Attorney General of the states.
So what are the key findings from this report? These financial flows are a key political issue that must be properly addressed by the government. There's a need to look at the current legal framework, because the current legal framework does not really address illicit financial flows properly. Even the international legal framework is piecemeal and not particularly effective. We will find that the illicit financial flows that came out of 7 energy strategic alliance agreements had reputable institutions like the IFC and the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency involved in that contract, and that's quite alarming. NATI has done a lot of good work, but we require a lot more government support to implement its recommendations.
I should mention that we have not just representatives of agencies involved in this conversation, but also representatives of communities, all producing communities. The Navy, they are also part of this conversation because these issues concern them. And our expectation is that where government agencies are tardy or leave gaps, they will show interest because it's about them, it's about the environment, it's about resources that are located within their own.
But just for me to point out here, a very significant fact, 92.9% of IFFs from Nigeria is in the extractive industry. And from the same Thabo Mbeki report, Nigeria accounts for a major share of IFFs from Africa. So we can see the role that Nigeria extractive industry play in illicit financial flows from Africa as a whole.
There is a way to go, but progress is happening. But the goal here is this, that there is license-free, i.e. anybody can use it, company ownership information available to everyone who needs it, to be used for any purpose. And that means governments, tax authorities, investigative journalists, and critically, civil society and citizens themselves. That's the goal, and we are getting there.
Welcome back. The focus is still on ICPC's effort at curbing illicit financial flow. Following the recommendations from the meeting that reviewed the report in relation to tax and advisory from ICPC, the Honorable Minister of Finance issued a circular on 10th March 2021, and amongst the items listed was a caption, tax exemptions, which reads as follows: MDS do not have any authority to grant tax exemptions to parties with whom they enter into contracts. Due process in accordance with relevant statutes must be followed where any tax exemption is considered justifiable. The same circular also has another caption, contracts denominated in foreign currency, which reads thus: MDS are to ensure that their contracts are wholly denominated in Nigerian naira, No MDA is authorized to enter into contract denominated in any foreign currency without the prior approval of the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. Further to the activities above and the circular, the Commission organized a capacity building for investigators and tax inspectors, as well as an international conference on illicit financial flows on asset recovery. Thereafter, there was a high-level capacity building for negotiators in the presidency and line MDAs for improved terms of engagement and mitigating illicit financial flows.
I congratulate the leadership of the ICPC, Professor Watanya, for undertaking such a laudable initiative in bringing international and national experts together to discuss and tackle the issue of illicit financial flows and the challenges of recovering stolen assets and returning them back to countries of origin. It is no longer news that the problem of IFFs is a global phenomenon and is presently one of the main challenges facing humanity. In fact, many scholars have identified it as the greatest obstacle to the realization of good governance and sustainable development. Developing countries that are mainly African countries are worse hit by the impact of IFFs, where high-level corruption and rank-along corruption have plundered the national wealth. The World Bank and the UNODC has reported that cross-border flows from proceeds of criminal activity is estimated between $1 trillion and $1.6 trillion every year. Africa is estimated to lose amounts in excess of $148 billion or equivalent of 25% of gross domestic product to corruption.
The outcome of all these activities is that the National Assembly now expresses more interest in illicit financial flows related activities and institutes inquiries into some illicit financial flow prone areas. Key public officials involved in preventing the illicit flow of funds are now more aware and are better equipped to ensure that funds do not leave the shores of the country illegally. That's our package on today's edition. You can watch episodes of Corruption Must Go on YouTube and follow us on social media. See you again next week. Bye for now.